Hi, I'm Bali again. As you know, it's Tuesday. Hope you had fun yesterday with the session around reading for pleasure. Hope you came up with some good ideas, maybe had a good discussion. Tuesday, today's book is Now or Never. This is a book that I wrote a little while ago, a couple of years ago. It's been out for just over a year. Just been shortlisted for the Little Rebels Award, which I'm really pleased about. A book about a young man called Fazal Khan, who is from Rawalpindi in what was then India in 1939, is now modern day Pakistan. He is a muleteer. He joins an army corps, the Royal Indian Army Service Corps, who looked after animals, mules and horses, mostly mules, who took part in the war effort very early on, 1939, 1940, in France. He's actually 15 and he wants to join the effort, but he's too young. So he runs away from home, lies about his age, and becomes embroiled in this adventure and ends up going via Bombay, Mumbai, to Marseille in the south of France and up to Dunkirk, and is evacuated from Dunkirk with the rest of his troops, with the rest of his fellows. So it's a war story, it's a historical story, it's a story that talks about what we call hidden voices, voices from British history that existed that we don't really know about, that aren't taught in school for one reason or another, which we don't need to go into today. Very, very simple story. It's about his wanting to follow in the footsteps of his grandfather, who was Indian and fought with the British or alongside the British during World War I. In World War II, 1.5 million Indian volunteers joined the war effort on behalf of the mother country, on behalf of India. This is, of England. This is, or Great Britain. This is something that a lot of people don't know, but that is the largest volunteer force ever in modern history. There's never been a larger volunteer force. And many of those stories, many of their hopes and fears and dreams and their situations that they found themselves in have not really been written about. So when I was offered the chance to write this story, Fazal is a made-up character, but everything that he does, the entire sort of setting, all of it is based in reality. It was great fun to write, also quite saddening in parts, obviously, because it's about war, but it was also a story. It's also a story that I had to do a lot of research for, and I'm one of those people that loves to do historical research, so that was a lot of fun. There are some images, hopefully, that will end up on screen that you are probably seeing, that I'll send over to the wonderful guy Amma who's doing the videos and putting them together for us. I'm going to read the prologue, and then today's task is very simple. We're going to ask you to write your own prologue, or your own little short story based on the prologue I'm about to read. So this is Fazal Khan, and this is right at the beginning of the story. It was still dark when I left my village, carrying only what I needed to travel. My family were fast asleep and I did not wake them. I was running away, desperate to find my fortune, desperate to follow in my grandfather's footsteps. My decisions were swift, but the planning took some months. Now I was finally ready to leave. And even though my heart ached at the thought of my mother's distress and the tears of my younger sisters, I did not waver. My grandfather taught me to believe in myself, to be sure of my actions. Now that I was going and he was no longer with me, I wondered what he might think, whether he was looking down on me as I sneaked away. I stopped a mile from the village, which would soon be consumed by the city of Rawalpindi, and become another of its many districts. I stood by a grove of trees under which my grandfather, my Baba, had often sat. There he would take shade in the sun, chatting with his friend Mr. Singh, playing cards. There he taught me many lessons about life and told stories of his time in Europe, fighting in what they'd called the Great War. Now, as I stood and thought of him a while, I was leaving to have my own adventures, hoping to follow Baba's example and become a man. I had no idea what awaited me, and I'll admit some fear. Mostly, however, I was excited. Baba had no gravestone to mark his passing. Instead, I touched his favourite wooden seat under his favourite tree and asked for his blessing. Then, without another rearward glance, I set off on my journey. Now, the task is very simple. I'm going to reread part of the opening. That's going to be your starter. And then you're going to write your own adventure about yourself. It can be historical, it can be modern day. The only thing I'm going to say to you, and this is going to become clearer, the reason why for Thursday's session that we're going to do, okay? In fact, Wednesdays will make this a little bit clearer as well. I want you to write as yourself. I don't want you to write somebody else. And it's an adventure. It's you not necessarily running away, but going away, disappearing off in the middle of the night, middle of the day, doesn't matter, to go and have an adventure. We don't need an entire story. Think about it as writing an opening chapter. And remember, if you're writing an opening chapter for an adventure story, try and give us a really good hook at the end, a cliffhanger, whatever, that makes us want to read on. That's what the best stories do. Your opening line is this: it was still dark when I left, carrying only what I needed to travel. My family were fast asleep, and I did not wake them. Now, you can also add I was running away if your story's about running away. If it isn't, you don't need to add I'm running away to your opening. You can just get to the point where it says my family were fast asleep, and then go from there. And remember, make it exciting, get straight to the drama, don't have any kind of major build-up. Start explaining where you're going and what the adventure is about. Most of all, as with everything we're going to do this week, have some fun, be creative, be inventive. Okay, that's all I got to say for today. Have a great day, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video. Take care.